Hi, Jimmy. I'm going to miss his enthusiastic, regular hellos and his monotone voice. Hi, Wade. And, of course, Champ's vicious hellos through the window of his car. Jimmy will always be remembered for his cheery disposition. I met Jimmy for the first time on July 31st, 2016, when I transferred to North Patrol from Central Patrol. I still remember the day I walked into the old North Patrol Bumblebee station. I was nervous as hell, knowing I was about to walk into a room full of salty veteran officers. Not sure why, because I was probably just as salty as they were, but all they knew was I was pretty new to the department. Jimmy's friendship was not immediate. I don't think it was for anyone. You definitely had to earn his respect. He never just gave it out. It wasn't necessarily easy to do, but once that shell was broken, you earned it. And he'd be there for you, on and off duty. It did not take long for us to connect, realizing we were more alike in thinking and work ethic on the job than we thought, even our rugged good looks. Although all the North Patrol officers rode solo, we found ourselves riding together from time to time. He drove, and I just rode along, mostly because he preferred to drive, and I preferred not to, so it worked out. I figured it was easier to let him do what he wants anyways. I would just tag along and back him up. Plus, I've heard the stories. I figured if our car ever got into a random argument out of nowhere with a random object like a fire hydrant, a deer, or even a boulder, it would be his fault, not mine. I remember one night we were patrolling up north, near a motel up north off Berry Road in Prairie View, when something caught his eye or his attention at that motel. We slowly creeped into the parking lot from the only entrance that existed, and no more than 2 seconds later, our car bounced up and came right back down. After all the cursing and wondering what the heck just happened, I laughed pretty hard, because I knew what was about to happen. He tried pretty hard to convince the three-stripe personnel that it was nothing of his own doing or his fault. Boulders do not belong in a parking lot. Many long, boring nights were spent in North Patrol with no calls to handle, left us parking to one another or just sitting with one another. Many stupid conversations were had, and many probably dumb shenanigans. I would go into detail, but the chief is sitting behind me. Jimmy loved the K-9 unit. I recall when his interest came about, he was getting training days every Wednesday so he could go down and train and learn with the unit. Probably the only time I got to see him really excited about the job. Lord knows he was not a people person, so riding with a dog was suited for him. I was very happy to see him get off patrol and get assigned to the K-9 unit. He loved it there, and I know without a doubt he loved each and every one of his fellow K-9 brothers, and I mean the dogs. I made my way off patrol and joined the DUI unit. Pretty sure he said that was stupid and dumb. Too much paperwork involved. That was a very common response to almost anything I ever had to say. Last month, I was able to talk Jimmy into partnering up with me during our DUI saturation patrols on the weekends. I had lost my current partner as he became our unit supervisor, so Jimmy agreed to come ride with me when he had the weekends off. Yay, I finally get to drive and do what I want. He was all for it, as long as he didn't have to do any of the work. And boy, let me tell you, he asked me about a half a dozen times to confirm what his role was. Just a tow-in report, Jimmy, and watch my back. I'm much like Jimmy, not a people person, and don't like to just conversate with anyone, but Jimmy was one of my exceptions. So needless to say, I was stoked we were going to ride together again from time to time. Be like old times, catch up, and maybe complain and gripe about stuff. I also knew that he had my back and he wouldn't let anything happen to me while we were out there looking for the impaired drivers. January 20th, 2023. I got him out to ride with me for the first time since I got him to agree with the DUI patrols and since we rode together in North. And it was definitely good to ride again. Sure gonna miss that and have him there watching my six, but I'm truly grateful that I was able to get one last ride in with him. My biggest admiration of Jimmy was his relationship to his son, Aiden. When I told him last time we rode together in January that I was having a son of my own, he quickly perked up. He seemed pretty super stoked for me. Aiden, I want to express to you that your dad loved you to the moon and back. Majority of our long conversations were about you, buddy. From what I've heard from the past few days, he would talk to you about you to everyone he sat and spoke with. Our last conversation during our last ride was about how great you have become at soccer and how well you have been doing. It was very noticeable how proud he was of you and how much he loved you. You were definitely his true pride and joy. Jimmy, gonna miss you, brother. I'm gonna miss hunting you down in the middle of the night using the patrol car GPS system so I could sneak up on you. I'll miss our late night parking lot chats and miss having you there to vent to all my frustrations when I needed it. It does comfort me some to know that you will have your sidekick and best patrol partner one could ask for, a champ, with you to keep you company. Matthew 25:21, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Until we meet again, Jimmy, rest easy. Love you, brother.
Hello, everyone. First, I'd like to thank Cassie and the rest of the family for giving me the honor to come up here and talk. Forgive me, I've never done this before, so I'm going to try to get through it. I'd like everyone to look around, look left, look right, offer a kind word to the folks around you, maybe give them a pat on the shoulder or a hug even, just a little bit of empathy. Great. Now we all know what Jimmy would not do. It's true, Jimmy was known for being a little reserved. Several times when we were partners up in North Patrol, we'd run into people along the way and calls for service and other officers and stuff. And after they'd meet Jimmy, they'd ask me, is Jimmy mad at me? No, that's just the way he was. Jimmy and I duck hunted a lot. Got up at all hours of the day and night, and sorry, Cassie, I know we woke you up many times, loading decoys in the boat and all that. He was my go-to duck buddy, and I was his. When one of us would win a drawing for a conservation duck hunt, up to 4 people could go. And I would always ask him if he won and who he wanted to bring. And so I usually brought the people along with us. I said, well, Jimmy, that's how you make friends. You bring them along and go hunting with them. He says, that's dumb. Which Wade said it, yeah, he said that the most, or that's stupid. Our last duck hunt together was epic. It's just me and him and my dog, and we got 2 limits. I got my first band. Aiden, you'll see that one soon. I'll never forget it, but the one before that one was even better. The stars aligned, and I got to hunt with Jimmy and my two best friends, Justin and Jeremy, and my dog River. All of us together for the first time, all my best buddies together for the first time. They didn't know it then, but I was hunting with my soon-to-be groomsmen, all of them. Jimmy will take care of them all, I promise. You don't have to worry. Just help me explain to the conservation agents and the game wardens that now I need 2 lemons and ducks. Find us a heavenly marsh up there and we'll get to hunt again soon, bud.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Justin Huddy. I want to thank you all for coming out today. I know if you know Jim, he would be greatly mortified of this ceremony, although it is one he greatly deserves. When I got in town this week, I was asked by Jim's parents to speak, so I had to come up with one of the many stories that Jim and I have together. And I was humbled and honored by this opportunity, as I was Jim's first partner. So I sat around and I thought, do I speak from the heart for Jim, or do I speak about Jim? I decided to do both, so buckle up. Jim and I have been friends for 20 years. Like I said, I had the distinction of being Jim's first partner. Unfortunately for Jim, he was my last partner. With that being the case, I did want to share a story of how we grew as friends and how these handcuffs right here are directly responsible for our friendship. We're going to call this Jim's origin story and the origin story of our friendship. So I was in Metro and working under Brad Churnside. I was asked as the senior officer in the sector to take Jim on and continue helping with his development after his field training. I didn't want a partner. My time in the department I knew was limited. I was finishing my bachelor's degree and I knew I was going to be leaving. Churnside talked to me, explained to me why I needed a partner. So I got Jim. A few nights in, Jim and I responded to a possible break-in at an auto shop around the 5500 block of Prospect. We contacted the witness. The witness told us a tall black man in an all-powder blue jumpsuit had jumped the fence, stole a tire, threw it over the fence, and he was pushing it down south on Prospect. So we decided to do what all good police officers do, and do some investigation and drive south on Prospect. We did come into him and we got our first clue. It was a tall black male in a powder blue jumpsuit pushing a tire down the road. So we proceeded to arrest this gentleman, put him in handcuffs. We placed him in the front seat of our patrol car, threw the tire in the trunk, and we went back to the shop to contact the victim. Jim was sitting behind the suspect at the time. We got back to the shop, talked with the victim. I left Jim with the suspect as I went to the back of the business with the victim of the store to make sure that it was just a theft and not a break-in. As the victim and I were in the back of the building, here comes Jim, walking right up behind me. I'm thinking, man, the wagon's super fast tonight. We're really lucky. So I asked Jim if the wagon arrived. Without hesitation, he said no. And I asked him if there were other officers on the scene. Once again, no delay. There were none. So I'm thinking at this point, we got the suspect in the front seat of our car with no one with him. Well, I'm blowing up inside my head about this situation. I'm trying to play it cool in front of the victim. So I tell Jim, why don't you go start the paperwork back at the car? But really what I wanted to say is, what the hell? Get with the suspect. At this point, Jim heads back to the car. And about 15 seconds later, I hear on the radio, 2 23s in a foot chase, black male, blue jumpsuit, and handcuffs. He literally called out the handcuffs like they're an accessory to his outfit. Surprise, surprise, criminals doing criminal things. After a lengthy chase, we lost him and my cuffs. We proceeded back to the station where I had a lengthy talk with Sergeant Churnside about partner assignments and me not having one. Brad ran some reports. He showed us every location this suspect had ever used, which was about 15. And who says crime doesn't pay? I've only had about 8 residents. He told us to stay out of service and track this guy down and to get my handcuffs back. We got to about the 12th house that night where we saw the suspect in the window, asleep on the couch and still in my handcuffs. Needless to say, we did get the handcuffs back as well as the suspect back into custody. And we took him directly to the station. At this point, Jim and I were much like Ross and Rachel. We were on a break. Jim approached me a few days later. He apologized for the incident, said he really enjoyed riding with me. God knows why. And he wanted to ride together again. At first, all I could think is, who the heck does this kid think he is? He's been on the department for the amount of time that I'm still counting in hours. He got my handcuffs stolen, and now he wants to partner up again? I thought about it through that shift by myself, and I thought, you know, as a rookie officer, he did an honorable thing and showed a lot of integrity by admitting to the mistake. It also showed a lot of intestinal fortitude to approach me after that last exchange. These were all character traits that I appreciated both as a Marine and as a police officer. Needless to say that Jim and I started riding together again for the remaining time that I had on the department. We had a lot of great stories, we had a lot of great adventures. After all, what could go wrong with a brand new officer and a short timer? It was clear that Jim continued those traits that made me want to partner with him through the next 20 years on the department. When I left the department, I figured our friendship was going to be coming to an end. Instead, Jim and his girlfriend at the time, wasn't Cassie, I'm sorry, Cassie, would come over to our house 3 to 4 times a week. My wife would help her with accounting homework, and I would help Jim understand that I was a better video game player at Madden Y2K than he was. We would sit around playing video games and talk about how screwed up things continue to be in the crime and punishment industry. He was there when my last child was born. As I moved through the country for work, we would continue to see each other multiple times a year, and we would talk regularly. We had a common enjoyment of UT sports, outdoor activities, and we had a great rivalry between our love of Denver and Kansas City football. Damn, those Peyton Manning years were tough with him. Jim, I'm going to leave these handcuffs with you. When I get to the other side, we can meet up and we can do this all over again. Until then, don't lose them. That was for me. This is for Jim. While Jim and I will not have any new adventures or new stories, I hope that his character traits of honor, integrity, and intestinal fortitude continue to get seen through the department, as they almost always do. I hope the leaders of Jackson County and Kansas City take note. Have the honor and integrity to admit when policies are not working and they do the opposite and increase crime year after year, which empowers and emboldens the criminal element in the city. Have the honor and integrity to admit there are anti-police policies and sentiments that have caused law enforcement officers in Kansas City to drop to dangerously low numbers and decreased hiring. If as a local leader you have that honor and integrity to acknowledge it, then have the intestinal fortitude to do something about it. I hope those same character traits continue in the prosecutor and the state judicial system for Jackson County. Have the honor and integrity to admit there is a revolving door of justice in Jackson County, unseen like any other county of Kansas City. Have the honor and integrity to acknowledge inherently low bond and jail sentences are commonly given, which continually endangers its citizens and officers directly, also while continuing to empower and embolden the criminals to continue their illegal activities with a mere slap on the hand. If you truly have that honor and integrity, then you owe Officer Muhlbauer, his family, his friends, and the citizens to have the intestinal fortitude to do something about it.